Good morning. Today we're going to talk about high lift jacks. Now this is your standard 60-inch high lift jack. It's a beautiful device. It's a basic tractor jack. It works like any other with a pump mechanism right there at the bottom that raises up or raises down depending on how you set the switch at the bottom. Of course, you're looking at this device. It's purely straight and tall. This is a 60-inch high lift jack. It's a perfect device. Now, let's put this to a side for a second. What are you going to do if your jack looks like this? This is unfortunate because the whole main part of it is damaged, it's ruined. Just because it's bent, it is now ruined. It may look kind of straight, but it really isn't. Now, after looking at the device, the mechanism is fine, the foot pad is great, the handle's not even damaged at all. It is just the rod itself. So we're actually going to replace this rod with a new one. Since we already have a 60-inch high lift jack, we're going to replace this 60-inch with a 48-inch, making it a smaller jack, which is good for lower vehicles that are not so lifted or don't have large tires. So the first thing we're doing is we're going to collect some tools, and we're going to take off the retainer to the foot pad. Then we're going to remove this mechanism here, and we're going to release the rod. And then finally, we are going to take out the clevis at the end of the rod to replace it onto the new rod. So I'm going to put this down for a moment. Let me gather some tools, and we'll be right back. Alrighty, welcome back. Now we have collected some tools so we can start to replace this rod over here. We've got a 19mm box end wrench, a 19mm socket wrench. We got a pair of pliers, and I'm just going to use this screwdriver as a picking tool. Now this is actually very simple to remove the foot pad, and I'm going to bring back our 60-inch jack just to show you here. At the bottom of every one of the high lift jacks, you have a cotter pin. This cotter pin is the retainer for the foot pad. This also releases the mechanism and the rod all in one unit. So we're going to go ahead and remove this cotter pin. We're going to disassemble the foot pad from the rod and slide out the mechanism here. And then we're going to put it back together. So let's go ahead and give that a go. I'll put this down. And just for the sake of the video, I've already started to remove the cotter pin, but I left it loose enough to try and pry it out, which I have already. And here is the cotter pin. We're going to grab the rod, slide off the foot pad. Now we're going to inspect the foot pad. The pad itself is still flat. This was a cast steel, so I expect it to be very strong. And aside of a little paint scratch, it is not damaged. Let's go ahead and move forward. So what we're going to do next is we are going to slide away the pump handle because it has a retaining clip on it. So now let's see if we can go ahead and slide out the bar from there. And it easily does come out. This was the 60-inch pump rod, as I like to call it. Now, before we move forward with the pump mechanism, let's go ahead and remove that clevis ring. All right, clevis ring is out. Our clevis ring, nut and bolt. There are no washers or lock washers of any kind. That's all it takes. And it was already loose since I had prepared it before this video. Now, this 60-inch rod was a beautiful device. I loved every moment I had with it. Let me give you a backstory on this right here. My wife and I were camping. We decided let's load up both Jeeps, take as many tools as we can, and of course much food and other camping supplies. The weekend was wonderful. The morning we're supposed to leave, everything's packed, ready to go. Now when my wife and I go off-roading, we're usually together in the same Jeep. Doesn't matter if it's his or hers. I'm always the pilot, she's always my navigator. She's always looking around while I'm just driving the path and looking straight. To my nasty habit of doing so, this time, when we went camping, we took two Jeeps. She's ahead of me, I'm watching her on the trail. I am not paying attention to my surroundings. This poor guy right here caught a branch. I didn't even feel it. but it just kept on going and going and going. And now this perfect piece of steel is ruined because of a tree branch. Lesson learned, pay attention to your surroundings. Mother Nature always wins. Now this is not the only damage. There is also damage to the mounting bracket for this jack on my Jeep. We're going to replace that as well. I will show you that in a moment. But right now, the only thing that this rod is good for is recycling. Alrighty, so right now it's looking perfect. Let's go ahead and prepare our rod. Now there are instructions. You will always notice that there is a separation or a large blank area here in between the top hole and the rest of the adjustment holes as you pump. This is going to identify this as the top. When you are replacing the rod, the people I live specifically make it clear that this is the side where this pin goes through for the foot pad. They are very specific. If you install it backwards, your pump isn't going to work right. So let's go ahead and remove this, and since we are aware of it, I'll put it right here for right now. And let's get started. So this is going to be the easy part. If I cleave this ring, I'm going to leave it for last. It is a single bolt item. I'm not worried about it, and it doesn't matter which direction it gets bolted onto. At the end of the day, it's at the top. You're okay. So now, before I move forward, let's inspect the pump. Now the pump itself, the handle, we're going to start with that. It's fine. It's not making any irregular noise. The movement is perfect. It is in the down position. Let's put that in the up position. Everything still seems to be working fine. The mechanism inside seems to be operating properly. We're going to put that back to the down position. Still operating fine. We're going to do this one more time. Looks great. Looks great. Alrighty. We're going to put this guy aside. So now we are going to try a regular basic, not so labor intensive method by sliding in the rod from the bottom. We're just going to see if we can get away with this. Not going to work that way. Lazy guy does not win this time. So let's put in our rod from the top. Being careful, you get the handle out of the way, but hang on to the handle. But at the same time, make sure that the retaining clip is out of the way. All right, looks good. I'm going to put this in the up position just so I can give it a couple pumps. Oh, there we go. And now I am happy to say that this pump is actually working very nicely. Let's lock that in for a moment. I'm going to put it down. From this point right here, we are just going to go ahead and mount the foot pad back into place, replace the cotter pin to keep it in place, and put the clevis ring back on. Now this is of course the reverse steps of what I've done already, so we're not going to go through all that. If you don't mind, I'm going to stop this video for a moment. I'm going to reassemble it, and I'll come back to you when it's back together. See you soon. Alrighty, and welcome back. I hope the pause wasn't too long. Now we went ahead and finished putting our 48-inch jack back together again. It is all good. I went ahead and I mounted this little retaining accessory right here. It is a lesser expensive unknown brand, not Daystar or Energy Suspension or anything of the like, but it is enough to hold it in place on the rod and keep this handle from bouncing around and making all kinds of noise. Now, an advantage of this type or this style, this brand, I haven't seen any other, is they actually have a through hole right through the body of it, which is right here, goes through one of these adjustment holes and out to the other end. And it's perfect for putting in a type of C-ring or some kind of retaining ring so that this device itself doesn't slide loose, come apart, whatever, or just all around gets in the way. But this is actually working perfect. The cotter pin, as you can see, is down here at the bottom. It's on there very well. A foot pad's not going anywhere. Now, the hole that's here, I don't see a reason that you can use an appropriate size bolt, a nut, and a couple washers to keep it in place. That's totally your call. But right now, the cotter pin is working well for me. I was able to slide it back in, spread the ends. Cotter pin's not going anywhere. I am not going to lose this foot pad. Mechanism's still working fine. It's in beautiful condition, beautiful shape. In fact, I'm going on a Jeep trail tomorrow. I'm taking this one with me. I'll leave the 60-inch behind. I don't believe I'm going to come across any larger vehicles than mine so much that I need that taller jack. So we're going to take the 48-inch with us tomorrow. Now, our next step, we are going to replace the damaged mounting bracket for this high lift jack that's on the back of my Jeep. Hang on one second, let's take a look at it. You can see that this poor guy's out of shape. It's been mangled, it's been bent. Alrighty? This guy has seen better days. And for the love of everything, this little guy has not been on my Jeep very long until it met its doom. So let's go back over here to my table and let's take a look at the replacement of this item here. Now, there are several different kinds or models or designs of a mounting bracket for a high lift jack to attach to the tailgate of your Jeep. But since I elected to go with a Smitty build tire carrier, a heavy duty one, the only one that seems to work is a Smitty built mount for the high lift jack because of its design, the way it bolts to the device. So let's go ahead and crack this little guy open and take a look. Now, I went ahead and done this move forward. I've removed all the packaging already. I wanted to inspect the package to make sure it was nice and intact. And in this case, it is. Now, of course, you have your bag of hardware, the appropriate fasteners to mount this to the tailgate, because this is the back of it. So you're going to use these two bolts where the provisions are on the heavy duty tire carrier itself. This bolt right here is the lower mounting bolt to the tailgate. That would be the front. So you can see how straight and perfectly engineered this is versus that perfect little design that I ruined because I wasn't paying attention to my surroundings and I let Mother Nature beat me up. So this is going to be a simple bolt-on hinge on the heavy-duty tire support, the tailgate itself right here, and it does come with a spacer for all the appropriate spacings to make sure this is a flush and a very level mount. I am not going to go through all that with you in this video. It is just 3 bolts, super easy. I'm going to pause this for a moment. I'm going to bolt it back on there, replace the damaged one, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, now for the sake of this video, and first, please let me apologize. I didn't realize my camera was off alignment, and I wasn't able to show you the support that I have for the pump handle. And this is it right here. This is what I was talking about earlier. This device is what slides on through the bar by this I-beam looking slot, and then the pump handle slides right through this, and this is what keeps it rattling. And that other retaining hole is that one that I was talking about right there. You can see it goes through both sides through and through, and easy enough. A little not prepared for this, but I am going to show you a little something. It is this right here. This square shaped pin with a retainer on it is what you can use to slide through that hole to keep it from flapping around. If it becomes too loose, it'll keep it from sliding down if it becomes worn. And of course, it's a nice little security feature. Not that you need it for any one of these pump handle retainers, but maybe it's just a little sense of comfort, considering how, nowadays anything will be taken from you. But enough of that. Let me go ahead and show you the new mounted bracket. Give me one moment. Alrighty, so here it is. The bracket itself has been replaced. It is now mounted appropriately with the 2 mounting holes right on the heavy-duty tire carrier here and here. And the third one is right here, which goes, it replaces one of these on the tailgate itself. So now it is straight, it is not mangled. This is the newly replaced one. It's got all the appropriate spacing so it doesn't rub up against the bumper when opening up the tailgate. Now it's looking kosher. Now, just for entertainment's sake, here's the old one. Just took it off, all misshapen. Poor little guy, bent out of shape. Metal has been torn right there and right there. So we're gonna send him a bon voyage and God bless and thank you for your service. But we're gonna go ahead and move forward without you. Alrighty, and there she is. We went ahead and took our 48-inch jack, went ahead and mounted it on our mounting support on the heavy duty tire carrier. And the mounting itself is very simple the way that Smittybilt had designed it. We have this bracket right here, bolted by a bolt. It is a cap head style bolt, and it will fasten on here with a lock washer. I'm sorry, a lock nut, a nylock nut. And the same at the bottom. Just a bolt through the bottom, a nut on top. It's all nylock. It does have washers, and it's going to be very secure. I've checked on it several times. This little bad boy is not going anywhere. And with the old hardware, they're still actually in very good shape, so we're going to keep this stuff and have spare parts for the future. Now, I do thank you for watching this video. I hope it was educational or at least entertaining for you. It took a lot of work into this. I felt it had to be shown, even especially since the fault is my own, that the entire unit got damaged to begin with. Want to make sure that everybody has a safe travel out there. Pay attention to your surroundings and be safe. The whole idea is to have fun and come home in one piece. Have a great day. Jeep life.